Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know, you cannot explain, but you felt it your entire life. Felt something is wrong with the world. You do not know what, but it is there, like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is this feeling that brought you to me. Do you want to know what it is? A horrible feeling. You feel it everywhere. Maybe you feel it in this exact moment. When you shower, when you get dressed, when you interact with anyone, when you go to work. When you go to church, when you fill out an application. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. The truth is that you are transgender. The DSM calls it gender dysphoria. But I just thought everyone was unfamiliar with happiness. The truth is, no one can be told what it's like to come out as transgender. But if you haven't come out yet, this might be an opportunity to change your life forever, for the better. You can do nothing. The story ends. No hormones, no social transition, no name change. You ignore the feelings, convince yourself it's not worth the risk. You wake up in bed in the morning and believe what you want to believe, hoping to forget. You take the hormones, you change your name, you change your pronouns. It's scary to accept yourself, but you wake up with wonder, finally loving yourself the way you always were meant to be. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth. So you took the pill. You woke up. You decided to start HRT. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Maya. I'm a trans woman, and today I'm going to talk about hormone replacement therapy. And keeping with the Matrix theme, we're going to call this void a construct. We can load whatever we want. A skirt, a taser, pepper spray, hormones, or this fun chart that took me a really long time to make. This is my hormone timeline. If you don't know what HRT is, it's part of the medical transition a lot of trans people take. Trans women take estrogen, trans men take testosterone. Today, I'll be speaking about my experience taking estrogen. To bring it back a little bit more and give a little more context, everyone creates estrogen and testosterone. Men create more testosterone than estrogen, and that informs their puberty. Women produce more estrogen, and that creates their puberty. However, when you're trans and you need to change the body that you were born in, you can take hormones, and like a dormant seedbed that is getting sunlight, fertilizer, and water for the first time, the hormones, in my case estrogen, wake up dormant parts of my DNA and create the person I am today. Facial features change, body fat redistributes. If you want more details, check out my other videos. I'm not going to talk about all the individual changes. Today, I'm talking more about levels and blood and hormones. We're going to get into that in just a moment. HRT means taking estrogen, in my case, and letting it activate the DNA that makes me a woman. However, there's a lot of different paths you can take, and today I'm going to share the path I took. Let's get started. In the beginning, I was informed that I could take pills, patches, or injections. Back then, I was afraid of needles, so I didn't want to do injections, and I didn't want to do blockers because it meant getting my blood tested more often, it meant peeing more, and it meant my hardware wouldn't work, and at the time, that was important to me. So I decided to take pills with monotherapy. In hindsight, this made my transition slower in the beginning, but you live and you learn. Anyway, I started with one pill. It's blue. Back in the 90s, estrogen pills were red. That's why in the movie he takes the red pill. Before we get started, you should know that T is measured in nanograms per deciliter and E is measured in picograms per milliliter. Keeping with that measurement system, cis women have 300 to 400 picograms per milliliter of estrogen and 15 to 70 nanograms per deciliter of testosterone. This is my HRT timeline. I'm missing my pre-estradiol dose, and I'm missing like the first year, more or less. I started in 2022. So let me give you a rough estimation. I started with one of these pills swallowed, and I slowly worked up my way to 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, sublingual. I think for me, in my personal experience, doing it sublingually worked better. I felt the results more. Do what feels best for you. Anyway, I don't have those first few blood level results. You can just overall see how the estrogen on the top started low, spiked up, and then went down, and how the testosterone just goes down. So here's our first slide. This is the first one I could find. My estrogen level was 115, and my testosterone was 506. My estrogen is on the lower end for cis women, and my T is pretty much in a good range for cis men. So that was kind of interesting where I had both at the same time. And I was also starting progesterone. So this was about a year into my transition. Like I said, I started with one pill, worked my way up to 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, and I actually took progesterone for the first time. Here's that clip. Taking progesterone for the first time. It's pretty exciting. Here it is. That was easy. Okay, this is exciting. We'll see how it goes. The changes were happening, but not the way I liked, and I was having some trouble because I'd have a spike of estrogen in the morning, and then it'd go down in the day, and then spike in the evening. This is what it was like in the beginning. Let's go to the next slide. So, January 8th, 2024, my estradiol dose is the same, but the key factor here is that my progesterone doubled. Also, I went from swallowing it to taking it rectally. People can have their thoughts on the inconvenience of this, but for me it worked. When I didn't do it this way, I'd get sleepy and it just didn't work for me. In my case, progesterone becomes a blocker. Progesterone also makes your breasts rounder. I think it makes my hair nicer, and it makes you more sexually inclined, let's say. Though in my case, there wasn't really a difference in libido throughout my whole experience. But, again, this all is based on individual genes. Okay, next slide. June 29th, 2024. My dose is now injections. I got over my fear of needles, and it really made all the difference. My dose was 0.2 milligrams every 7 days, and same with progesterone. My estrogen jumped up to 558, and my testosterone went down to 18. There's a lot of debate over what a healthy range is for trans women. My endocrinologist explained that this was a little high for me, and the only time she'd had people with dangers of getting a blood clot was when their estrogen was too high. I took her advice, and we brought my dose down a little bit. You can also see in these pictures how my fashion sense improved. It's kind of fun. So the next blood result is from September 20th, 2024. My dose went down to 1.9, and I was doing every 5 days. This is to the best of my memory. There is a chance that the higher dose of 500 was when I had this dose. I don't quite remember, but this is to the best of my memory. Anyway, my estrogen went to 180, and my testosterone went down to 23. Progesterone's the same. Also, it should be noted that estradiol compounds, so the longer you're on it, the more it kind of builds up. So just because the dose is a little lower doesn't mean it's necessarily going to drop immediately. It's kind of like compound interest, but instead of owing more money, you just look better. So December 31st, 2024. So now I was at my current dose, which is 1.8 every 5 days. I should mention, a lot of people do every 7 days. By the 4th day, I'm already feeling crappy. It's kind of like a luteal phase. But a friend pointed that out. In retrospect, I've noticed that on this day, I shouldn't make big decisions because I'm angry at everything for no reason. It's kind of like being hormonally imbalanced every week, more or less. It's a lot of fun, but it's what works for me. My results were 270 for E and 19 for testosterone. Progesterone, again, stays the same. And the final reading is from March of last year. My dose was the same. My estrogen climbed. Again, it's that compound interest of estradiol. 315, and my testosterone is at 24. Now, I should note that doctor was having me test at peak levels, I believe, and then one of these was at trough. So again, this isn't very scientific. This is just my best memory based off of everything that happened in the past 2.5 years. Let's extrapolate some conclusions from all this. Being on pills by themselves didn't really work for me, and progesterone made a big difference. But what made the biggest difference was injections, and doing every 7 days didn't work for me. I remember being really angry and upset, and things were kind of chaotic in my life at the time, but Even so, I feel a lot better doing it every 5 days, and that's what I do to this day. If you're thinking about starting hormones and you're afraid of needles, I have a detailed tutorial on how to do it, and I'm going to make another one more specifically on getting over your fear of needles. If you don't want to take blockers, go for it with the injections. It's a little scary, but I promise you can do it. Take progesterone about after a year, my recommendation. It's what worked for me again, and definitely boost it. I tell all the trans women I meet to boost their progesterone, and I bug them until they do, and I think it's helped them. Again, this isn't very scientific. And yeah, just remember to eat. That's something I've been struggling a little bit more with. But doing all this, and you too will wake up the genes in your own body that have always been there. There's no guarantee of what you'll look like. The closest approximation is the woman in your family. I don't have any sisters, so I remember looking to my cousins and my mom to get an idea of what it would be like when I was on hormones. And obviously I look different than them, and it's different to imagine it than have it in person. But I'm really happy with my results, and I hope this helped you. If you're still hanging out with me, I just want to talk a little bit more about The Matrix. I really loved that movie before knowing I was trans or anything about that. And I even had a class on it in high school where we got into the philosophy of it. In retrospect, understanding it as a trans allegory makes so much sense. Both of the directors have come out since it was made. They're the Wachowski sisters. Excellent filmmakers. But I think the other way it can help us, aside from the fact that I literally took a pill, and yeah, the colors are wrong because back in the 90s, the estradiol pill you would take was red. It's got nothing to do with red pill online bullshit. It's got everything to do with estrogen. If you're not trans or you haven't transitioned yet, I think The Matrix can also be a way to understand what it's like. I definitely remember my childhood. I'm not saying I don't remember it. At the same time, in retrospect, it doesn't really feel like me. And the moments that we'd call a glitch in the Matrix, obviously lots of spoilers here, but when they see the cat twice, deja vu, there's kind of a break in the fabric of reality and the status quo. And for me, that was trying on a skirt for the first time, putting on lipstick and getting in trouble. My mom saying I looked like a clown. That was hard. But it was the fabric of reality, the fabric of gender norms, the fabric of gender stagnation, of dogma cracking around me. And when I woke up, it's kind of the way Neo thinks about Mr. Anderson, where he thinks about his past self, who worked in the office and was a very mundane person. He has those memories, but it doesn't feel like him. It felt like he wasn't awake. And that's what my past memories feel like. I definitely remember them, and they happened, and I had lots of good times and bad times. But I don't feel awake the way I feel awake now. Like I could jump off a building and fly. Anyway, if you haven't seen The Matrix, it's going to be really confusing. Please go watch The Matrix. It's a really good movie. And I hope this video was helpful. Things are really hard right now in the US, whether you're someone who believes in the faith of humanity, if you're an immigrant, or if you're trans. I happen to be brown and trans, so it feels especially hard. ICE needs to get out. Palestine needs to be free. Every occupied country should not be occupied. I have lots of thoughts on this. All this to say, even though I don't post a lot about it, I'm thinking about it and even considering leaving again. You know, even if I was cis, I'm still perceived as other by the people in power right now, and that's really hard. And it kind of makes it hard to make videos, but I'm working through it, and I believe in myself. In closing, thanks to Max for helping me make the intro. Thanks to you for having the patience. This took a lot of work and planning, but yeah, I'm really happy to be making videos again. And I hope that this time I can get over my fear of failure and my fear of being visible and keep going. I hope everyone that needs to wake up wakes up. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.